Thought I was too. There we go. Oh, I didn't have the screen on. There we go. Okay. What we're going to do is just take a quick look at a couple of slides on Barrysburg. Barrysburg is a cool town. I think that Barrysburg is like a great example of Americana. I really think that. It's kind of a close knit. A lot of families have been there for generations. It's pretty cool. You can hit them both because we're not taking notes. Again, I'll just go through a couple of key points here. Barrysburg. Sarah Heller Schwab, daughter of John Heller, the founder of Barrysburg. It was actually called Hellerstedtel. Stettel is a Dutch word for town or village. Okay. And we did take a look at the Barrysburg School with Sharon Peters. You probably recognize her. Does anybody know Sharon Peters? Up at the middle school, she's one of the secretaries. Okay. Did that make sense? Okay. Barrysburg was laid out by Adam Heller back in 1819. And if you remember, just 2 years ago, well, it's coming up on 3 now, Barrysburg actually celebrated its 200th anniversary, which, because of her German background, it was actually called Hellerstedtel. Huffman. You want to say it?
Hellerstedtel.
Mrs. Wolfgang.
Hellerstedtel.
Why not? Would you believe that the land of Barrysburg was actually surveyed by this guy? Remember I told you about him before? John Paul Jr. of Elizabethville actually surveyed the lots. Does anybody remember what he was famous for? Go ahead.
Horseshoe Curve.
The Horseshoe Curve, yes. Out by Altoona. Okay, I think that's pretty cool. What else? Anybody remember something I told you about the 2 houses down there on West Main? Yeah, they actually. Yeah, and what were they for? That's him. That's the guy. John Paul. And his wife, yes. His wife lived next door. That is Newton Hall, and beside him is Franklin Hall. That's where his wife lived. Mifflin Township had lots of rural schools. Now, if you go out, excuse me, you go outside of the borough of Barrysburg, you're in Mifflin Township until you come over and get into Washington Township or Likens Township. But that was actually named for Governor Mifflin. You may have heard the school, Governor Mifflin. I think this is pretty cool. Barrysburg always had an interest in education. Back in 1851, he actually started the Barrysburg Seminary. Does anybody know what a seminary is? Nobody ever heard the word seminary? It's a higher education building, but do you know what it's for? If you go into the cemetery, what do you do? Seminary, what do you, cemetery? Yeah. If you go in the seminary, not cemetery, what is that? What are you doing? Anybody know? Ms. Wolfgang, do you know?
Yeah, he studied religion.
Would you have ever thought that we would have a literally college, a seminary college in Barrysburg? Did you know that before you came in here? I think that is really cool. And there were 139 students. There was no other seminary between Harrisburg and Bucknell University, except for the one in Barrysburg, which I think is pretty awesome. Okay. Seminary school was then sold to Aaron P. Lark, who started a stock company to run the school. And as you can see, then in 1871, the school was sold and became a borough school. So it was no longer a seminary then, but it was actually the borough school. Okay. In 1891, a new building was built, which is now the community center. And that is the same building. The one here over here is the same building that's still there. Okay. This is owned actually privately. It was owned by the school district, and until 1990, that was actually one of the elementary schools. So I think that's pretty cool. That was the Barrysburg School about 1904. They actually created a vocational school, And a little bit of sentimental value. This guy right here, that's Walter Henninger. That is my great grandfather. And if you look, some of the other names that are there, you got Troutman, Harmon, Lebo, Huffman, Crab, yeah, Hartman, and a lot of those families are still in the valley. Yep, Miller, another very common name as well. Okay. So Charles Huffman there, that might be maybe your third great grandfather. Maybe Mr. Huffman's. Yeah. How about John's third great grandfather? Could be. Okay. And you can see a little bit more. That was the high school. And again, that building's still there. Okay. I think that's pretty cool. Could be. Could very well be. Because I think some of Bronson's family is in Millersburg also. So, yeah. There you can see the plaque, which again, now this was owned by the school district then later on. When I went to elementary school, and I didn't go to this building, I went to the Elizabethville school up here, but this was one of the four buildings. It was Elizabethville, Berrysburg, Gratz, and Likens.
My husband went to the Berrysburg one.
Okay.
I went to Gratz.
Is anybody familiar with the building by any chance at all? Do you know what's underneath it? Yeah. They actually have a cistern underneath it for water. Do you know why they actually have that? You know what that's there for? It's not a trick question. You know what it's there for. In case there's a fire, right? Actually, when they originally put that water supply in there, it was for something different. What was going on in this country from the 1940s until about 1990? From the 40s till the 90s. What was happening? John, I know you know this.
Cold War.
The Cold War. And a lot of places were designed as bomb shelters, fallout shelters. And in this Berrysburg building, they actually had that water supply there that if they'd have to go there during a nuclear war, that people would actually have water. That's actually why it was first put there, believe it or not. That was there when the school was there and everything. Okay. Right behind the fire company. I thought I had a picture of it. I think Elena showed you that. Did she show you that where the picture, the fallout shelter sign is there? It's actually still there. That's where I saw it. It's actually still there on the wall. But that's what it was for. People during the 50s and 60s, 70s, 80s, you were worried about nuclear war. And this was a place where you could go to get supplies and water and live. Now I realize what you're probably thinking. If it was a nuclear war, we'd have a lot of problems. Yeah, certainly. Okay. Fire company, again, a long lasting organization. A lot of people have been there for generation after generation. Okay. This you kind of saw her state in the video. I thought this was pretty cool. Does anybody recognize that building? The building's still there. Look over here. Look at the steps. Yeah. That's actually Shiano's, yeah. Yep. People of Berrysburg, they actually had a as you can see there, the antique display. I thought that was pretty cool. Look at that. They even had a high school band. That was 1946. Is Marlon Henninger still living?
I don't know.
That would be Lynn's brother. I don't know if he is or not. Okay, again, you saw this in the video. And then they had the jointure, which we've already gone over. Okay. In Berrysburg, elementary and middle grades attended the Berrysburg school, and then the rest came here to Upper Dauphin Joint until, of course, this school was created in 1965, and we've been Upper Dauphin area ever since. The Warner family, still around. Blacksmith shop. I don't know where that building was. The lower store. Now that building in the background is Ciano's. I know it's a pretty fuzzy picture, but you see that. And if you drive through the square in Berrysburg, you can see where those gas pumps were. You can actually still see them. They were out where the grass is. But that is Ciano's there in the background. So I think it's pretty cool. The inside. One of the first TV sets in the valley was actually sold there, as you can see. That place was kind of like the Rumburger store here in Elizabethville. It was kind of like a Walmart. Had anything you need, food, clothing, you name it. Businesses, I'll just go through some of these. Oh, the post office. Actually, the postmaster was required to speak English and what other language? There's only one that makes sense.
Spanish or Dutch?
Dutch. Yeah, Dutch. Yep. I'll just go in here a little bit more. Just put a couple of slides here together. Part of Rumburger store was where the post office is. Now, of course, it has its own location. Let me just move on here. There, that's what it actually looked like when the post office was there. MG Henninger, that is the mill still there. And that is a distant relative of mine, not immediate. I thought that was kind of cool that the grain was delivered by horse and wagon. Purina food. I do remember working there, mostly high school, throughout college. I'd work at Henninger's Mill, and I remember we used to do 30,000 chickens every 7 weeks. We were on contract with Purdue. 30,000 chickens. And yeah, that's as many as it sounds, trust me. Just go on here. I think that's pretty cool just looking at some of the equipment that they had. Don't worry about the words there, but let's see here. I'll just go on. A lot of detail. I think that's pretty cool. The mill. I think the mill is still in operation. Now, Lynn doesn't own it. Mrs. Wolfgang, do you know?
I don't know.
Lynn doesn't own it anymore. Lynn was MG's son. I knew MG also, but that's where it's located.
I used to always go there to get our cattle feeding and our horse feed, but I haven't been there for long.
Yeah. Perrysburg Garage. Just show you a couple of pictures, that's all. A lot of information here. The student did a good job by putting all this information here. I don't know where that building is, though. Actually, I do. I think that's actually where Alice's restaurant was. Right there before you get to Dollar General. Again, I'll just go through a bunch of slides here. You can see back to the Model T. Okay. Rumburger store actually did have a telegraph. Some you might call it a trading post. They called this a listening post because that's where you got your telegraphs. And there's a better picture of the inside of the Rumburger store. That's Schiano's. Can you see it?
That place is huge. The Newcombs used to own it, and we were very good friends with their son, and we would hang out there every weekend. That place is huge.
Everybody notice there? Does it look like Schiano's on the inside? You can see how it can be. Okay. We'll just move on here. Oh, there's the outside gas pump where Schiano's is. And if you drive through the square, you can see it. Okay. Guess he went trapping one day. Okay. Just a couple more pictures here I'll show you. That's the Berrysburg Community Fire Company. Of course, the carnival still alive and well there in Berrysburg. There's the post office. The Sesquicentennial. And that was actually a funeral home at one time. That building's still there, the Victorian home.
Berrysburg from the east side, isn't it? Like a couple houses down from Sharon's.
Yep, absolutely. On the east side of the road, yes. Yep. Peace Church and St. John's Hill Church. Okay, take 2 minutes. Go ahead into Canvas there. And go back to January 6th. I think is when we watched those 2 videos. Find that video there on the St. John's Church and give that